The sixth and final round of the 2025 BTRDA Clubmen's Rallycross Championship sees the series once again make a visit north of the border to the home of motorsport in Scotland, here at Knockhill Circuit in Fife. Sadly, the weather has done its worst, as it's done in many occasions over the course of the history of the championship, making visits to Scotland, but the 40 drivers present across 7 different classes will give it their all in the name of entertainment, with titles to be won, including the big one of overall BTRDA Clubmen's Rallycross Champion for 2025. First of all, we'll take a look at a lap of the Knockhill Rallycross circuit on board with Todd Crooks in his BMW Mini. This footage taken from another event. He is racing today, Todd, but in another car, as we shall see. First of all, it's down the right-hander at Duffus Dip, then onto the brakes and onto the loose at McRae Corner, named after arguably Scotland's most famous motorsport family. And then it's into the mud as we go along the bottom of the course, the Big Dipper as some call it. The drivers bouncing their way over the bumps in this section of the course. A very tricky section indeed, tricky to see where you're going and very easy to, well, do what the car in front of us has just done there, going off into the tyre wall, unfortunately, through the mud and the puddles, and then back up through this little chicane, back onto the tarmac. Power comes on again, then it's onto the brakes a short time later into the double right-hander at Taylor's Turn, then up onto the top straight once again to complete a lap of this short but tricky Knockhill Rallycross circuit. We start our roundup of the action in the heats. Heat number 3 for the Mr. Transit Pre-95 Classic division. Vince Bristow in his BMW looking for his third heat win. He's already won heats 1 and 2 in the BMW 318i. But it is the 2 minis at the front of the grid. Ian Biaggi, the local star in the Mini Clubman, Helen Crooks in her Mini on the outside, but David Ewan coming through in the Ford Fiesta Evo, the Fiesta with its Mitsubishi Evo engine. The Cumbrian driver already clear as they come down towards McRae Corner for the first time. Ian Biaggi in second place, Vince Bristow from the back of the grid already up to third, then Stephen Gaunt in fourth place ahead of Tom Edmonds in the orange Corsa. They're both title contenders heading into this final round of the season. It's been a very open season for the Classic division this year. We'll see how the title plays out in the final later on. There's 3 heats held for each class to qualify and determine the grids for the finals, each driver taking his or her best 2 results from their 3 heats to determine their grid position. Vince Bristow up on the outside of Ian Biaggi, making his annual appearance with the championship as they go into Taylor's Turn. Stephen Gaunt, the haulage company boss, in his Corsa behind them. Then Tom Edmonds had a great season with a couple of A final wins, including at Pembrey in Wales. It's David Ewan out in front in the Ford Fiesta Evo. The Cumbrian farmer clear of a good battle here between little and large, the Mini and the big BMW E36 318 of Vince Bristow. Outsider for the championship over the course of the season. It's looking likely to be one of the 2 Corsas in our Mr. Transit Pre-95 Classic division. This is just a qualifying heat, of course. We'll see the final taking place later on. They bounce their way through the mud. The worst of the rain has held off so far, but conditions may worsen as the day goes on into the finals. Unfortunately, the weather seems to try and do its best to ruin the action every year when the BTRDA Clubmen's Rallycross Championship comes to Knockhill, as Vince Bristow tries to force the issue on Ian Biaggi. This is allowing the 2 Corsas to close up. The power of the BMW tells as he moves up into second place. But it's still David Ewan who leads the way as we go into lap 3 of this 4-lap heat. The finals will be 5 laps later on. Short but frantic races in Rallycross. Ian Biaggi there in third place, now being hunted down by the Corsas. Been a change there for 4. Tom Edmonds has got ahead of Stephen Gaunt. Gaunt's had a pair of second in the first 2 heats, pair of second places behind Vince Bristow. So we're going to have a change in the results here, and 1 title contender in problems early on, Tony Lynch, having some troubles with his Peugeot 205 GTI, so he could be removed from title contention here. Vince Bristow is catching David Ewan meanwhile. He's going to possibly have a look into the last bend to try and snatch the win away here as they come up into Taylor's Turn, swing their way through for the penultimate time. Still Ewan who holds the lead, gets the tail hanging out there on the back of the rear-wheel drive Fiesta. The 2 rear-drive cars pulling clear of the front-wheel drive Mini of Ian Biaggi. Edmonds 4th, Gaunt 5th, Helen Crooks in 6th in her Mini. It's all about these 2 at the front of the field here, and Vince Bristow switching to the inside as they go into McRae's Corner. He won't get the line away from David Ewan. Very experienced racer in the Fiesta. Both great entertainers, these two, in Rallycross over the years. They head into the loose section between those unforgiving tyre walls. You do not want to clip one of those at speed. Over the bumps they go. Is David Ewing going to hang on here down towards the final corner? Bristow still shadowing him. There's a lead of about a car's length for the Fiesta over the BMWs. They head up onto the tarmac. Oh, David Ewing snaps sideways and there's contact between the two of them. The BMW goes out onto the grass. Vince Bristow keeps his foot in. He's gone out wide. He's going to hit the tyre stacks on the outside, and Ewing's caught up as well. Ian Biaggi's come through. Goodness me, Ian Biaggi is going to snatch the win. It's a win for Scotland in heat number 3 for the Mr. Transit Pre-95 division. Well, goodness me. Vince Bristow has pulled up. David Ewing comes in towards the back of the field, and Biaggi has won it. Stephen Gaunt's come through for second. Where did he come from? And Tom Edmonds is third. Ewing fourth. Well, what a development there on the final corner. See what happened. It was as they came back onto the tarmac, as David Ewing put his foot down, the rear end of the car just snapped sideways. He hit the side of Vince Bristow, who tried to keep his foot in and keep going, but I think he lost his steering into the course markers, and Ian Biaggi said, "Thank you very much, I'll come through and take the win." So Ian Biaggi wins it just ahead of Stephen Gaunt and Tom Edmonds in the two coursers. David Ewing got going again for 4th place, and Helen Crooks in P5. Vince Bristow, having challenged for the lead all the way, didn't even make the checkered flag. Now we go into our A finals, a combined A final for the Clubman 4x4 division and the Bone Street Autos BMW Minis. 2 cars in each category here. The 4x4s off from the front. Graham Reed, the Scottish driver, in his Nissan Pulsar on pole position alongside Irish visitor Derek Jobb in his Ford Escort. The 2 4x4 machines expected to leave the less powerful BMW Minis standing here, and it is Derek Jobb who makes a good start. Graham Reed fights back around the outside. Graham Reed having already done enough to secure the Clubman 4x4 championship for this year. The 2 BMW Minis, Ryan Cooper leads the way there. He had 2 heat wins to 1 for Wesley Wickens in the orange and white number 51 car. Wesley Wickens looking all set to win his first championship in the Bone Street Autos BMW Minis here. Just needs to complete this race without incidents. And he may be happy to let Ryan Cooper go ahead of him there as they head along the bottom of the course for the first time. It is Graham Reed who pulls away in the lead. They're looking for 4 wins out of 4. Ahead of Derek Jobb, the visitor from across the Irish Sea. Long-time rallycrosser at the wheel of the Ford Escorts RS. I think it's an RS 2000 Maxi he's got there, the yellow liveried machine. And Wesley Wickens is having a go at Ryan Cooper here. He wants another A final win here this season in the Bone Street Auto BMW Mini category. Wesley Wickens all set to secure the class championship. He's had a fantastic season. Ryan Cooper, a newcomer this year, in the colours of the Bell Rallycross team run by David Bell. See him out in the super modified class later on. It's Graham Reed who continues to lead the way. Has had a fair few technical issues with the Nissan Pulsar GTIR this season. Good to see it's back at its best on Graham's home circuit. Pulling away from Derek Jobb now. Regular visitor to England and Scotland and Wales as well at Pembrey. All across the British Isles. The BTRDA Championship has been to Brighton Park in Lincolnshire, Pembrey here in Scotland, also down to Linden Hill, the home of Rallycross in deepest Kent. The drivers making the way across to Mondello Park in Ireland as well, in County Kildare. These 4 cars fairly well spread out now in this 2-category race. Just a couple of entries in Clubman 4x4 and in the BMW Minis this year. It's has to be said, it's been a slightly disappointing year for BMW Mini in terms of entries this year in their category. The identical 1600cc supercharged machine. You can hear the whine of the superchargers when they're under power. They are closing here slightly on Derek Jobb in the Ford Escort. Flash of flame from the Escort's exhaust there as he comes towards Taylor's turn. Wesley Wickens with the wipers going, the rain worsening here at Knock Hill. He's set to take his first championship. We know who's won the Clubman 4x4 title. Of course, at the end of the day, all the points for the various categories will be combined together to give the overall BTRDA Clubman's champion. It's Alex Fletcher in the production category who is currently topping the overall points. So if he wins his A final today, he will retain the overall title. Only the 5th driver to do so in the history of this championship, which dates back to 1977 when the great Trevor Reeves won it. Eric Job is being reeled in by the BMW Minis here. I'm wondering if the Escort has got a problem here. Yes, those Minis are definitely closing in. Ryan Cooper on his tail now. There is Wesley Wickens. We could have a battle developing for 2nd overall here, coming up towards Taylor's turn. The Escort still in 2nd. Oh, cloud of smoke from under the bonnet. I thought the Escort had a problem. That looks like steam more than smoke. I wonder if the cooling system has blown. Great clouds of steam and smoke there. Derek Job is out of the race, and that's allowed the BMW Minis through into 2nd and 3rd overall. They'll have their own battle to the flag. Graham Reed is going to win the race. He's away and gone overall in front. Now here's Wesley Wickens going to settle for 2nd here behind Ryan Cooper. He only needs to finish the race to win the title. There's Graham Reed in the Nissan Pulsar GTIR, used by Nissan's World Rally team in the early 90s. The likes of Stig Blomqvist and David Llewellyn, no less, drove those in rallying as the Minis come over the bumps, over the Big Dipper. Graham Reed in the GR Auto Care Nissan is going to take the overall win in this race and retain his Clubman 4x4 championship by a comfortable margin. 2nd flag is out. Graham Reed takes the win. Here come the Bone Street Autos BMW Minis. Yellow flag at Taylor's turn because of the stranded Ford Escort, but it matters not because Ryan Cooper comes in to win the category on the day, but Wesley Wickens takes the championship. Congratulations to Wesley, his first Rallycross title. Graham Reed already confirmed as your Clubman 4x4 champion. Graham Reed taking the win by over 11 seconds in the end, ahead of the 2 battling BMW Minis. They were separated by just over a second. Wesley Wickens playing it safe, the 3rd overall, 2nd in class, 1st in the championship. Derek Job unfortunately retiring in a cloud of steam and smoke with a couple of laps to go there. Well done to Graham Reed and Wesley Wickens, your 2 champions from that combined A final.
I have with me Graham Reed, who's not come too far to join us at Knock Hill, and pedalling your wonderful Nissan Pulsar 4x4 around the track. You've got the championship for the Clubman's 4x4 this year, Graham.
Yeah, over the moon with it. I feel like it's been 5 years in the making to get a decent run at Knock Hill at the home event. So, yeah, very happy. Yeah, we went through the pain, we've persevered, and we've had a decent run. Car's going well. So yeah, chuffed to bits.
Well, so you should be, and I appreciate it has been quite a difficult process with taking the car on, with set up as it was, quite soft, and to make it right for you in Rallycross, and then having reliability problems, and then you got a certain Tony Bardi on track.
Yeah, we've got Uncle Tony on the go, so yeah, he loves his old Nissans. So it's went for a couple of holidays at Scotch Corner, but yeah, the results speak for themselves. So yeah, we're happy, and we catch up on the phone a fair bit, which is nice as well. So yeah, so hopefully we'll have a good run next year as well.
Well, hurrah for that! Thanks for taking the time to speak to us. Cheers.
See you.
Now we're on to the MS UK Cross Car A final, where conditions had worsened considerably. Unfortunately, we did have a couple of stoppages in the first couple of runnings, with cars sliding, skidding and spinning everywhere. Stephen Burke was one to spin out at the first attempt. Teddy McPherson, the junior graduate, going off as well. And number 61 of Bradley Turner was left stranded at the 2nd attempt. So we try again with take 3 with the cross cars. David Kane on pole, 2 heat wins for him. The other was won by Patrick O'Donovan, making a guest appearance here this weekend. A multi-discipline star in the world of Rallycross, has raced in the European Rallycross Championship this season, as well as in the Five Nations BRX series. So on the front row there, Liam McMullen in the red number 29 car, it is David Kane who takes the lead from pole position. Mullen up into 2nd place. Bradley Turner, despite that spin in the previous running of this race, up into 3rd in the number 61. Further back in the order, there's young Will Ovenden, the yellow and red number 5 machine. Now we won't see a champion crowned in the MS UK Cross Cars today. They run a slightly longer championship. They've still got a couple of rounds to go after Knock Hill. As they splash their way through the mud, it really is near impossible to pick out the cars there, really. You can not really tell their numbers. They are so caked in mud already. Back of the field there, number 48, that is Todd Crooks, the former Super Modified champion. His Super Modified BMW Mini has been out of action for most of this year, so trying something different here today at Knock Hill, but mired in the mud at the back behind Max Weatherly at the moment in the number 7 car. Completing the first lap then, it is David Kane out in front, and with conditions worsening considerably for this race, probably the only driver in this field who can see properly where he's going. And the hill they come towards Duffus Dip. The MS UK FIA cross cars, the little buggies have been spectacular all season. As we say, we won't know their champion here today because of the longer championship, still a couple of rounds to go. Stephen Burke in the green car there, trying to give chase to, I think it's possibly Teddy McPherson, the 119, just in front of him. It really is impossible to pick out the numbers until the cars are right next to you. There's Max Weatherly, number 7. The amount of mud being thrown into the air here. Struggle for anyone to, well, it's a struggle to see the cars from trackside in places. Full credit to our camera teams as well for sticking it out in these conditions. It can't be very enjoyable for them. Well, here's the man who can see where he's going, David Kane in the 581. Looks like he's heading for victory. He's well ahead of everybody else. Pulling away from the likes of Patrick O'Donovan and Liam McMullen, his fellow front row starters. I think they're battling for second place. Kane is away and clear. Checkered flag is being prepared for him there, so I can imagine they've cut the race distance because of the earlier stoppages. In fact, yes, the red flag is coming out again, and I think due to the conditions, the result is going to be declared. Let's wait and confirm that. So the race has been stopped. That's the third stoppage to this MS UK FIA Cross Car A final. Just awaiting news from the officials on what's going to happen here. I think the cars are being sent back into the paddock there in the background. There's the reason for the red flag by the look of it. Will Ovenden, number 5, has pulled over. Look at his crash helmet there. You can see completely obscured by mud. He cannot see a thing. And possibly the officials deciding that it is just not safe out there for these drivers. The result has been declared, with David Kane taking the win ahead of Liam McMullen. Result declared at 2 laps. Patrick O'Donovan in 3rd place ahead of Teddy McPherson. Stephen Burke in 5th, then Bradley Turner. Ben Bartlett, the former junior star, in 7th place. Max Weatherly and Todd Crooks completing the finishes. Will Ovenden dropping out. So David Kane a clear winner in today's MS UK FIA Cross Car Final. Result declared after 2 laps. Now we move on to the junior category, sponsored by Pentland Components Parts. 3 cars on the grid for this one. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of them in the heats. Oscar Cooper and Hayden Harris had a couple of incidents earlier on. So Elliot Fuster will start as the favourite here from pole position. He had 2 heat wins. Hayden Harris won heat 1, but is already out of the event, sadly. And Elliot Fuster, who's only been defeated once this season, he rolled his car in the opening round at Brighton Park in Lincolnshire, but is unbeaten after that. Starts as the favourite, but it's Aston Brown in number 57 in his Suzuki Swift who makes the start, leads the way into McRae Corner for the first time. Fuster in 2nd place, and 3rd place is Jimmy Jeekins. Now, Elliot Fuster, if he wins this race, will still be in contention as things stand for the overall championship. He'll have to wait and see whether Alex Fletcher can win the production category later on. But Elliot Fuster needs to win this race to stay in contention for that overall title. The leader, Aston Brown, has hit the course markers there. Bit of plastic barrier goes flying. He's still got the lead as they come through to complete the opening lap. Elliot Fuster giving chase. It's Jimmy Jeekins 3rd in the Nissan Micra. These cars under 1400cc. The drivers Age 17 and under, some as young as 14 years of age have raced in the junior category over the years. In the past we have had a junior driver win the overall BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship, 2018 and 2019. Luke Constantine won it back-to-back, the only junior driver to win it overall so far. Alex Fletcher looking to become only the 5th driver to win back-to-back titles in the championship this year. The 7th driver to win it twice. Mike Turpin and Dave Ward have won it twice, but not in consecutive years. Nobody's ever won it 3 times. Elliot Fuster giving chase to Aston Brown, who only had a best of 3rd in the heats. Jimmy Jenkins had a pair of 2nd places. Elliot Fuster 2 wins and a 2nd, counting his 2 wins for pole position. So look on the inside here, Elliot Fuster could pull alongside Aston Brown into Duffer Stip for the 3rd time. They're side by side under the bridge, down towards the right-hander, and Fuster's got the inside. He takes the lead. Now, is he going to pull away, or is Aston Brown going to fight back? Elliot Fuster needs to stay in front to stay in contention for that overall title. Of course, if he wins the overall title, he cannot also win the junior championship, because due to a quirk of the rules, each driver can only win 1 title in the BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship. So if you win overall, you can't also win your category. Running wide there, Aston Brown, he could lose 2nd place here. So in other words, if Elliot Fuster wins the overall title, the junior title will go to Hayden Harris in 2nd in the points. If Alex Fletcher wins the overall title in production, then the production title will go to whoever's 2nd in the production points. Move on to that a little later on. Got that? Good. Certainly is an unusual system, but it opens up more title-winning opportunities to more drivers. Jimmy Jenkins here having a go at Aston Brown for 2nd place. He's on his bumper there into McRae corner. Of course, we saw Max McRae, the nephew of the legendary Collins, son of Alistair McRae, racing here last season in one of the cross cars. All of the McRae family have competed in rallying and rallycross over the years. Jimmy McRae, a 5-time British rally champion. Colin McRae, of course, needs no introduction at all. Former world rally champion. Alistair McRae, Max McRae we've seen here, and now Holly McRae as well, Colin's daughter, competing as a rally co-driver as well. Elliot Fuster, meanwhile, leads into the final lap. The Pentland Component Parts Junior Rallycross A final. As things stand, he will provisionally take the junior championship. We'll have to wait and see what Alex Fletcher does. If Alex Fletcher doesn't win the production category later on, then Elliot Fuster could take the overall title. Good system for the drivers, but can be frustrating for commentators, not knowing what's going to happen until all the classes are complete. We'll do the mathematics later on. Here he comes then, Elliot Fuster, just 1 defeat in the championship this year. Another A final win for Elliot Fuster, and provisionally secures the junior championship. Aston Brown, an excellent 2nd, his best finish of the season. 3rd goes to Jimmy Jenkins in the Nissan Micra. Congratulations, Elliot Fuster. He now will have to anxiously watch on and see what the other classes do. Keep his hopes of the overall championship alive, beating Aston Brown by 3 seconds to the flag there. Less than a second between Aston Brown and Jimmy Jenkins for 2nd and 3rd. Oscar Cooper and Hayden Harris were non-starters after incidents in the heats. The Pentland Component Parts Junior Rallycross A final won by Elliot Fuster, a 5th A final win of the season, provisionally our junior champion for 2025.
I'm glad to have caught up with our new junior champion, Elliot Fuster. Elliot, what a season you've had, and what a wet day today.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good season. After rolling and winning every single round after that with a brand new build car, I think we've come really fast, and it's got a lot of got a lot more confident with the car, and yeah, I think it's just been a really good day. I was struggling a little bit this morning with the pace, and I found after the first heat, after a small spin, ended up still getting P2 in that race. won every single race after that and winning the final and the championship. So
I think that's called an emphatic win. But sort of change round seemed to have been at Pembrey with the roll, and then the reshelling of all the mechanicals, and you've just not looked back from there.
yeah, really big thanks to my team, Sportec, Wayne and Ashley. We built the car in less than a month, rebuilt it in less than a month, ready for the next round after, which I think was Blyton. But yeah, it's just flown by and just trying to drive as hard as possible.
But very cleanly, all the same.
Yeah. The minimal contact is the way I like to drive.
Well, I would like to say my very hearty congratulations to a very good win, great performances all through the year. Well done.
Thank you very much.
On next to the SG Haulage Super Modified A Final. The Bleasdales are back in their Vauxhall VX220s. Jason and Darren Bleasdale, both former overall champions, making their only appearance of the season. Darren, with 2 heat wins, is on the pole on the left as we look at the grid. Jason alongside him, Richard Moore's Mercedes SLK V8 completing the front row of the grid. Off they go, and it's a poor start by the pole sitter Darren Bleasdale. Jason clears off into the lead with Richard Moore in second place. Now perhaps the most important factor here is who's not on the grid. David Bell in his BMW Mini Countryman is a non-starter in this race. A spin there at the back of the field for George Gray, a full 360 for the BMW Compact. The Scotsman gathers it up very nicely indeed, rejoins at the back of the field. But as I was saying, David Bell, a non-starter in this race. That means if Kieran Curran in the yellow Corsa, as long as the Irishman completes this race, he will win the Super Modified Championship. And he's in there behind one of the Bleasdales. That's Darren, who's recovered from a slightly poor start to this race. Jason, his brother, has cleared off into the lead. Richard Moore in the Mercedes SLK in second place. Well, there's contact there between Curran and Bleasdale. Darren Bleasdale spins around, Kieran Curran's off as well. Now hopefully Kieran can get that going again. He'll be at the back of the field as he rejoins. The rest of the pack heads through. Now let's see if Kieran's rejoined. There's Stephen Gaunt in his Dale Ford, I should say, in the SG Haulage Corsa. Stephen Gaunt running in the Classic division, of course. Apologies there. There is Darren Bleasdale going again, just breezes past George Gray's BMW, the VX220, so quick in a straight line. His next target is Stephen Ratu in the MG-ZR. Now, has Kieran Curran got going again? Need to make sure that as long as he finishes this race, he will win the Super Modified title. There's Dale Ford, former overall champion in the production class when he won that back in 2020. There is Darren Bleasdale on his recovery drive after a slow start and then a spin after contact with Kieran Curran. The concern at the moment, is Curran still going? I think he is. Towards the back of the field. There's George Gray, who spun earlier on in the BMW Compact. Dale Ford heads through in the Corsa. Sponsored by Stephen Gaunt, who races the similar car in the Classic division. Of course, Stephen Gaunt, sponsor of the category through SG Haulage, his business. Bleasdale, Darren that is, has now got past Stephen Ratu's MG-ZR. He'll make short work of the field here, Darren. We saw this in 2021 and 22 when Jason and Darren took back-to-back titles in their VX220s. Richard Moore in second place. It's Dale Ford in third. Bleasdale, Darren, that is, his fourth. And Stephen Ratu. Behind him, George Gray in the BMW. Kieran Curran is still running, but he's further back. He's in last place. With David Bell, a non-starter. My calculations, as long as Kieran Curran, the Irishman who won the overall title back in 2014, as he completes this race, he'll win the title. Darren Bleasdale blitzes past Dale Ford's Corsa as if it's standing still. And there is his brother Jason. We've not seen much of him. He's away and gone in front. Richard Moore in second, but Darren Bleasdale is catching him. Bleasdale brothers from Hartlepool in the northeast of England. We've seen a third of the brothers Stephen Bleasdale race in the BMW Minis on occasions in the past as well. Splash their way through the mud. Rain holding off at the moment here at Knockhill. Light is still flashing away on the windscreens, and Richard Moore in 4-litre V8 engine Mercedes SLK, not the sort of high-powered car you really want in these conditions, but it's working okay. Here comes Darren Bleasdale, the challenge for second, though, as the last lap board is out. Jason Bleasdale is going to win this. There he is through the loose section. He's leading by about a third of a lap, I would say, here. Back onto the tarmac, up to Taylor's turn. He's hardly seen another car all race long. Jason Bleasdale has add to his long list of A final wins in BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross. Checkered flag is out, he takes the victory. Here's the battle for second place. It's more like half a lap behind our race winner. Now is Darren Bleasdale going to make it a family one too? There is Curran, he's been lapped in the Corsa, but he is going to make the flag. A lap down. Rare occurrence in Rallycross, it has to be said, but that will secure him the title as long as he takes the checkered flag. There is the checkered flag. Kieran Curran comes home and provisionally secures the SG Haulage Super Modified title. Moore holds off Darren Bleasdale to take second. Dale Ford is fourth. Stephen Ratu will come in for fifth position. And I think we've lost George Gray's BMW. I saw a yellow flag out at Dufferston. Yes, there it is. He's in the gravel at McRae Corner. So George Gray, a non-finisher. Spun exactly where he did on the first lap. So the win goes to Jason Bleasdale by about half a lap of Knockhill. Over 24 seconds his winning margin. Richard Moore just holding off Darren Bleasdale to take second place. Dale Ford in fourth. Stephen Ratu is fifth, but a lap down in sixth place. Kieran Curran secures the SG Haulage Super Modified Championship. His first title since back in 2014 when he was the overall champion. Kieran is this year's Super Modified title winner. We've already seen what the Mr. Transit's Classic Pre-95 division can do in one of their heats earlier on. Let's see what they can do in their A final. Double heat winner Vince Bristow in the BMW has prepared after that bit of contact with David Ewan. He's on pole. The other heat winner, as we saw, was Ian Biaggi. He's on the outside of the front row. Stephen Gaunt starting between them in the Corsa is the champion-elect heading into this race ahead of Tom Edmonds in his Corsa further back on the grid. Gaunt making a good start there, but it is going to be Vince Bristow who leads from pole position into that first turn. David Ewing coming through into third place. The back end's stepping out on the Fiesta again there, and Ian Biaggi in the Mini up into fourth position. It is really wet by this stage of the day, the rain coming down in buckets again as they head onto the loose for the first time. Bristow leads. He's known as Mr. Sideways, and he's going to be very sideways indeed in these conditions. Slides his way over the mud. Stephen Gaunt running wide there in second place. Ewan trying to get the power of the Fiesta Evo down there. It's Ian Biaggi, Tom Edmonds and Helen Crooks completing the field. Non-starter in this race, Tony Lynch in the Peugeot 205 GTI. He had problems in the heats which have taken him out of title contention. Looks like it is going to be provisionally Stephen Gaunt who takes the Classic title. We've seen a number of different round winners in the Classic division this year, but most of them not doing a full season. Tony Lynch, of course, has raced two different cars. His Toyota MR2 Mark 1 got written off in a big crash at the opening round of the year at Blyton. There is Ian Biaggi. Face full of mud already in his Mini. Struggling to see where he's going, but he's still there in fourth place at the moment, ahead of Tom Edmonds in the Corsa. Tom Edmonds, who a couple of years ago had a big rollover here at Knockhill. It's Bristow struggling his way through the infield section. David Ewan hanging the tail out again. The finish is tantamount to victory in conditions such as this. Near impossible out there. The wheel's just spinning on the David Ewan's car there. He just tries to keep going without bogging down. Bristow pulls away. Stephen Gaunt, if he finishes second, I think that will be enough to take the Classic title. Division sponsored today by Mr. Transit. There is Helen Crooks towards the back of the field. Consistent season for her in the Classic Mini. A couple of Minis here today. Ian Biaggi making his annual outing with the championship on his home circuit. David Ewan battles on in the Fiesta in third place. As Bristow fights on in front. Stephen Gaunt wants to hold that second place. I don't think he's going to challenge Vince Bristow here to take the win. As he gets home in second place, the haulage company boss in the Corsa, and he will take the Pre-95 Classic Championship. Over the start-finish line to start the penultimate lap. It's all about really just keeping it on the island, as they say, in the closing couple of laps. Bristow eases the BMW into McRae corner. After this, all eyes will turn to the production division. Again, if Alex Fletcher wins, he will take the overall championship, retain his overall championship. Bristow still with a reasonable margin over Stephen Gaunt here. Slower lap times than we were seeing earlier on. I think Vince Bristow will be very glad to see the last lap board come out this time. That's the point where he came to grief in Heat 3, where he hit those markers on the outside. After contact with David Ewan. Into the last lap he goes. Gaunt in second place. He'll just want to complete this last lap in one piece as he heads for the classic title. Consistency rather than out-and-out speed this year have been his ally. Out onto the loose they go just one more time. Can afford to take it easy here. He's not under any threat. Ian Biaggi in third place with battling with David Ewan is well behind. They've just got to negotiate a back marker here. That's Helen Crooks. Ewan and Biaggi are fairly close, I think, now for third place. They're well behind these two. It's Bristow not trying to pass Helen Crooks there on the loose. He'll wait till the tarmac comes along where it's wider. Through he goes. Bristow heading for victory. 2 heat wins, pole position for the A final, and now victory in the A final. Vince Bristow comes in to take the win, but in second place in the Corsa, it's going to be Stephen Gaunt who takes the Pre-95 Classic title. Here's the third place battle, Ian Biaggi and David Ewan. We said they were close. Good fight between the Fiesta Evo and the Mini. Also behind them is Tom Edmonds. Looks like the Fiesta has pulled away, coming onto the tarmac for the final time. Up towards Taylor's turn, towards the checkered flag. Oh, Ewan's lost it! He's done that before in previous years as well. Unfortunately, David Ewan does a 360 on the final turn, and Ian Biaggi just holds off Tom Edmonds to take third place. Poor old David Ewan, he never has any luck here at Knockhill. He finishes fifth. Helen Crooks in sixth place, a lap down. Tom Edmonds just failing to catch Ian Biaggi there for third position. Wonder Ian, with all the mud on the front of his car, could see where he was going. But with Tony Lynch a non-starter there, it is second place, enough for Stephen Gaunt to take the title. Vince Bristow the winner by 3.8 seconds ahead of Gaunt, who seals the Classic Pre-95 Championship with second place. Ian Biaggi just beats Tom Edmonds home by a few hundredths of a second to take third. David Ewan, a 360 on the final corner, ends up in fifth place. Helen Crooks a lap down in sixth. So well done to Stephen Gaunt and to Vince Bristow. Bristow the A final winner, Stephen Gaunt the champion with second place. Now it's on to the MOT Group Production Championship. Alex Fletcher starting as the favourite. If he could win, then he would take the overall championship, but the final would be stopped. Will Noon hit the tyre wall down the back straight on the loose section and was collected heavily by Finn Vore in the Saxo. Heavy damage to the orange machine, and Mark Henry's Alfa Romeo 147 caught up as well, sustaining hefty damage for the second year running here at Knockhill. 12 months ago he tangled with the Citroen of Martin Peters. See it again here as they came to the end of the loose section. Will Noon got sideways in the Clio. He hit the scenery and was collected heavily by 2 cars. Bit of a Banger Racing jacking train there on the back straight. Will Noon able to continue on, but Finn Vore and Mark Henry unfortunately out on the spot. Heavy Heavy damage to the Saxo front and rear. He was the meat in the sandwich as the Alfa Romeo went into the back of him as well. For the first season driver and Mark Henry, unable to line up for the restart, although Will Noon was able to keep rolling. 12 months ago here at Knockhill, you may remember in the Classica, in the production A final I should say, he shed most of the panels off his Renault Clio. He's had a similar attempt here. Look at the state of that. Well, he's closed his boot lid. He has lined up for the restart. Alex Fletcher, the double heat winner on pole. It was Will Noon who won heat 3. He's alongside him. Ed Shepherd in his Citroen C2 completing the front row and completing the 4-car grid. Andy Harris in his Suzuki Swift. We are underway with the MOT Group Production A final, and away goes Alex Fletcher. Now, if he wins this race, he wins the overall championship for the second year running. It's a perfect start there. Will Noon in what's left of his Renault Clio in there in second place. I hope it's not going to fall to bits again. Let's wait to see what happens when he goes over the bumps on the loose section. Edmund Shepherd is in third place in the C2. Will Noon up there in second, but Alex Fletcher, I suspect, is going to pull away here. Oh, and there's contact, and Will Noon is round again. Tangled with Ed Shepherd this time. Andy Harris will go through into second place. Well, the way things are going, Alex Fletcher is going to win this as the only car left running. Ed Shepherd's getting going again. My goodness, Will Noon's going to be having flashbacks of 12 months ago. He's going to end up with no panels left on his Clio again. Look at his front wheel, the suspension is bent there, the left front. I don't think that's going to go very much further, unfortunately, for Will Noon. He's going to try and limp it round and keep going for as long as he can, but there is Fletcher out in front. Andy Harris in second place, and surely this is Alex Fletcher's title now for the second year running in the Weira Tools Loughborough College run Honda Civic. There's Edmund Shepherd, and there is Will Noon, who I think is heading back to England. That's the end of his race. But if Alex Fletcher does win the overall title, Will Noon will win the production title as he's second in the points. Remember the one driver, one title rule. Ed Shepherd's got going again after that tangle with Will Noon, but he's a long way behind. And here is Alex Fletcher, who has overcome more than most to return to motor racing, overcame cancer a few years ago. He was the champion overall last year, looking to become only the 5th driver in the history of this championship to retain the overall title. Bruce Rushton did it in 1979 and 1980. In 85 and 86, the great Bill Skirmer won back-to-back titles, 2015 and 16. It was John Ward who did it, and then 2018 and 19, as we mentioned earlier, junior driver Luke Constantine won it back-to-back. Mike Turpin and Dave Ward also won it twice, but not in consecutive years. Nobody has ever won it 3 times. Would Alex Fletcher be the first if he returns next year? Edmund Shepherd trying to reel in Andy Harris here for second place. He's made a good recovery after that tangle with Will Noon earlier on. As we say, if Fletcher wins this, Will Noon will be the production champion in the Clio. Rather destructive A final for production, unfortunately. 3 cars involved in that pile-up coming off the loose section when Will Noon hit the tyre wall. Andy Harris struggling a little here, but if he keeps going, he's already guaranteed his best finish of the season. He'll be on the podium. Shepherd has caught him. He's going for second place, and they're not all that far behind Fletcher here. I think he's taking it easy. He doesn't want to take it too easy, because look at the way Edmund Shepherd is going. He's pulling away from Andy Harris there on the tyre. It's a strong run by the Citroen when you consider he was in the tyre wall early on after that tangle with Will Noon. This is a remarkable recovery by Edmund Shepherd. And he is hunting down Alex Fletcher. 2 laps to go. This race may not be over yet. Watch that Citroen C2. This is a very impressive first season for Edmund Shepherd in Rallycross. Of course, production aimed at the newcomer to the sport. There is the Loughborough College Honda Civic. Alex Fletcher is a lecturer there. His motorsport engineering students prepare the car, and Edmund Shepherd's caught him. Look at this. I can't believe how much ground. Edmund Shepherd was about half a lap behind at the end of the first lap after that tangle, and he's now on the Honda Civic's boot lid. This is remarkable. This championship may not be over yet. Elliot Fuster could be watching on rather excitedly here, because if Alex Fletcher is beaten, it's going to open things up in the overall championship again. Alex Fletcher's only had 1 defeat in A-finals this year. That was at Pembrey when he had a tangle coming out of the Joker lap. Can he hang on here ahead of the closing Ed Shepherd, who's lapping about 3 seconds a lap quicker than the Honda? Well, Edmund Shepherd's going to get the nickname Rainmaster here, I think. Less than a car length in it. They're on the last lap now. Shepherd a little bit sideways, coming through the loose. Don't spin it, Edmund. He's just about held it together, but has that lost him his chance? Is Alex Fletcher going to retain the title and join the pantheon of double champions? Ed Shepherd fighting back, but I think that may have lost him his chance, just losing it briefly there through the deep mud on the loose section, up towards the final corner of the championship. And Alex Fletcher and the Wera Tools sponsored Loughborough College Rallycross team are going to retain the overall BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship. Alex Fletcher takes the checkered flag. He's done it. Back-to-back titles for Alex Fletcher and the Loughborough College team. What a results for Alex, and as we said, has fought back against more than most to go motor racing. Andy Harris comes in third. That's his best ever results. But Alex Fletcher, number 1, retains the number 1 plates for another year. Nobody has ever won it 3 times. Will Alex be the first next year? We will wait and see. Alex Fletcher takes the win, and look at that, less than 0.3 of a second in it. When you consider Edmund Shepherd was half a lap behind after the opening lap, that's an amazing recovery drive by Ed Shepherd. Andy Harris completes the top 3. Will Noon was a retirement on the first lap of the restart, and Finn Vore and Mark Henry did not take the restart with a substantial amount of damage. But congratulations to Alex Fletcher, your 2025 BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross champion.
I'm pleased to have found Alex Fletcher. We've spoken a lot over the course of this year and last with winning rather a lot, and here you are having won yet again, Alex.
Yeah, no, it's been an awesome season. You know, just trying to keep the consistency there and get those wins in. And obviously, I just like talking to you, Steve. That's what it is.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, we can now exclusively reveal that having been the overall BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross champion for 2024, you've done it again.
Yeah, after all of that, yeah, it went down to the wire with Elliot. So yeah, what a way to bring that home. I mean, it was horrific conditions out there. Obviously, I'm sure everyone at home watching saw that. It was an absolute mud bath out there, and getting a production car through that was tricky. So I'm just ecstatic to bring it home for the college, for Wera Tools and all our other support, and obviously the students that are here today, and bless them, they're soaked to the skin, but they've got big smiles on their faces that we're bringing that trophy back home for the 2nd year.
And brilliant, the learning opportunity for your learners here with you from Loughborough College. They've seen, well, not so many of the lows, but certainly a lot of the highs, and a lot of the work put in preparation, changing as you were yesterday evening from the dry spec to the wet setup in preparation for today's rain. It's all been a really good learning experience for them.
Yeah, it's a credit to them. You know, that's why the car's been so reliable. They prep that car back at the college. You know, nothing's ever too much trouble for them. They just get on with it, and obviously they're learning along the way, which is brilliant. So it's for them. It's for them. They've done a great job.
You're one of only 6 or 7 drivers who've won the overall BTRDA Rallycross Championship twice. Now, will you be the 3rd?
Who knows? I mean, to get on that list, I mean, obviously when we had the conversation at this time last year, I was just amazed to get that. But to get it twice, wow. Everyone's going to be pointing the finger at me going, well, you could be the first to get the triple, but who knows? As you know so well, it's Rallycross. Anything can happen throughout the year. You know, you need that resilience. You need those results on the board all the way through the year. It's not just one event. You've got to get them all, and thankfully we've done it. But we'll try. Obviously, we don't come here to go around at the back. We're here to do a job and, you know, give it our all and reward the students. So yeah, that's what we're all about. I mean, we just try and show professionalism, and, you know, with our small budget of what we've got, you know, we just take that to the absolute max and, you know, be as professional and conduct ourselves in the right way, and that's what they need for going forward into industry. So Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Alex Fletcher, BTRDA overall Clubman's Rallycross champion for 2025. My hearty congratulations.
Thank you very much, Steve. That's great. Thank you.
So the champions are confirmed for the 2025 BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross season. Alex Fletcher takes the overall title, which means Will Noon inherits production in second place in their points. Well done also to Wesley Wickens, Graham Reed, Kieran Curran, Elliot Fuster and Steve Gaunt. Your champions for the 2025 season. Crosscar, of course, their season continues on. That does wrap up the 2025 BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship season. Big thanks to all the drivers, their entertainment, all the officials behind the scenes and all our camera crews for bringing us the action in all weathers as well. Thank you very much indeed for watching during 2025. Will Alex Fletcher make it 3 in a row? Find out in 2026.